gentlemen, it is time for the first of our two world title featured events of the evening, as Don King Productions and the Las Vegas Hilton present the WBC Middleweight Championship. This bout is sanctioned by the World Boxing Council, the president at ringside, Jose Sulaiman, and the supervisor is Bruce Lane. Along with the Nevada State Athletic Commission, the chairman is Luther Mack. Presenting the judges as appointed, from British Columbia, Canada, Dave Brown. From Cartagena, Colombia, Horacio Castilla. And from Las Vegas, Nevada, Chuck Jumpa. And introducing the referee in charge of this bout, he will be giving instructions after the introductions, Richard Steele. Well, fans, here we go. This featured event is scheduled for 12 rounds of boxing for the WBC Middleweight Championship of the World. Introducing to you first the challenger on my right, fighting out of the blue corner. He is wearing red trunks and hailing from Houston, Texas. He weighed in at a ready 159 pounds and a fine record which includes 24 wins, only 1 defeat, 19 wins by way of knockout. He is ranked the number 10 middleweight contender by the WBC. From the well-known boxing family, please welcome Thomas Ice-T Tate. And his opponent across the ring. On my left, fighting out of the red corner, is the defending world champion. He is wearing white trunks with multicolor trim, which celebrates the Virgin Islands Silver Jubilee. He is fighting out of and representing St. Thomas in the Virgin Islands, and he weighed in at the same weight of 159 pounds. His tremendous record includes 44 wins, only 1 defeat, with an impressive 42 big wins by way of knockout. He is the former WBA Junior Middleweight Champion and the current WBC Middleweight Champion of the World, introducing Julian the Hawk Jackson. Once again, here's your referee, Richard Steele.
Okay, I spoke to both fighters in the dressing room. I'm telling you again, obey my commands at all times. Let's make sure I keep the punches up. The neighbors here, anything below your cup is a low blow. Keep them up. Shake hands, good luck.
Julian Jackson, who has explosive knockout power, particularly in his left hook. Keep an eye out for that left hook. Also an excellent right hand. He goes straight in with destruction on his mind. Almost every punch is thrown with evil intent to knock out his opponent. Although he told us yesterday at the weigh-in, Bobby, that he plans to box more. So we might see a bit of a different side to Jackson.
It'll be interesting. I mean, Tate's coming out doing just what we figured he might. Had to use a jab, keeping his hands very high. Already the left hook on the side of the gloves. Big, hard punches what Jackson has.
Tate does have some knockout power. 9 of his 19 knockouts in the first 2 rounds. 15 of his 19 in the first 4 rounds. Likes to throw combinations. He is pretty strong defensively. And he said he'll try to keep Jackson away with the jab.
Well, he's been using the jab, and he's been using his feet to also keep him away and keep a little more distance between him so that left hook can't get loaded up on him.
Jackson feels that he is the lowest paid champion in boxing today. He's very adamant about that. He'd like a big money bout with somebody like Terry Norris, a man he knocked out in the 2nd round 3 years ago, but he's gone on to win the WBC Super Welterweight title. Or he'd like to unify the middleweight championship, meet the winner of the James Tony Mike McCallum IBF title fight August 29th, or perhaps take on WBA middleweight champ Reggie Johnson.
He told me it was very simple. Whoever pays the most, that's who I want to fight. He doesn't really care who it is. Should he win tonight, that's all he's looking to do. Establish himself as a big money fighter.
He's knocked out his last 15 opponents, has Jackson, since being stopped by Mike McCallum. His only loss back in 1986 for the WBA Junior Middleweight title, a 2nd round knockout. Tonight, Jackson's 4th title defense. He's 8-0 in title fights.
Thomas Tate showing some good movement. He's getting out of the way of some of the big punches. And Julian certainly has loaded up on more than just a few.
There's a heavy right by Julian Jackson, and he is spun out of there by Thomas Tate.
Right now, Tate's in a little bit of a defensive mode while trying to make some points with the jab, but he is not taking any chances yet that he doesn't have to.
Jackson, an interesting story, used to be in a street gang as a kid growing up in the Virgin Islands. Turned his life around with boxing and religion. His brother is a pastor, helped him tremendously in turning things around. He said he also found faith and found out who his real friends were after the loss to McCallum back in 1986.
I think that's something very generic to the trade. It's just one of those things. They all leave when things get bad.
The defeat really opened his eyes to life. I think you can really relate to that. A lot of people say defeat is a measure of greatness. I think Muhammad Ali used to say that. And Julian Jackson says it now.
Well, for a man, when he comes back from defeat, if he can improve, become better, and do more and accomplish more, he becomes great with your friends. If they stay there through it and everything is bad, as well as when the good is, that's how you judge the friends.
Round 2 scheduled for 12. Julian Jackson and Thomas Tate, both very personable young men. Tate told us yesterday he calls this fight a dream come true. Talks about his brother a lot, Frank, the former IBF middleweight champ. Biggest difference between Thomas and Frank. According to Thomas, Frank is seasoned. He knows what to expect. And I asked him the most important thing he learned from Frank, and he said patience and a good support team.
He told me today earlier that he was going to need a lot of patience in using that jab. Patience, patience, patience. Pick his spots to land his big shots, and his defense would have to be there, and eventually a lot of combinations once the fight gets on.
And Bobby, so far, Julian Jackson living up to his word, saying he was going to box more rather than go for the quick knockout. In his last outing against an intrepid southpaw named Ron Collins, early on, Jackson made no adjustments to Collins' southpaw style. He still came straight in. He didn't try to get around the left-hander. He also boxed more than usual, but he did get impatient looking for the big knockout, as he seems to be right now.
He seems to have a little bit, even though he's boxing more, a little bit of a predetermined mindset. I'm going to hurt this guy early and get him out of there. And I can see it in his eyes and certainly in his motions.
You can see in the last fight with Collins in Mexico City, he got a little frustrated early on and threw several wild rights, even got hit himself in times. I guess the keys to fighting a guy like Julian Jackson is, you touched on earlier, try to box him. You don't want to maul and push with the guy, and you got to have a lot of heart, and you got to know how to survive.
A good chin wouldn't hurt.
Yes.
A good chin wouldn't hurt. Here you see Frank picking some spots. He threw a couple of big right hands to the body. There he tried to land one to the head. He's picking his spots. He's fighting a smart fight right now.
By no means talk to Jackson during the fight. Ron Collins did that in the 4th round, saying things like, "You can't hurt me." Not advisable. He tried to make Jackson punch himself out, but he wasn't about to do that.
That can happen with big fighters that do, as we talked about earlier, when they wind up with those big shots, take just as much energy to stop that punch as it did to start it.
What is your reaction when your opponent starts talking to you?
I really don't pay too much mind. I've even had them talk to themselves on occasion, which worried me a little bit.
So it's the same in the ring as it is here ringside. You're paying no attention to me either.
No, it's not that bad.
By the way, 2 times Bobby Ches has heard the bell and inflicted punishment on me.
It was a nice world total of flashback. I couldn't help it.
You do have a good left hook. Final 20 seconds. Round 2 scheduled for 12, and Jackson digging to the body with that left uppercut.
I think it's been a better round for Tate, though. A little bit better than the first round.
Well, it has to be a confidence builder. No question about that.
Right.
And it is round 3, scheduled for 12. Pretty good second round by Thomas Tate against the slugger, the knockout artist. Julian Jackson was almost forced to retire back in 1989 after surgery for a detached retina in his left eye and a torn retina in his right eye.
Here you see that Thomas Tate is trying to counter a little more to make Julian miss the big shots and make him pay for it, but that also can be a very dangerous game.
Tate, although he does have knockout power, is basically a boxer who likes to throw combinations. Oh, there was a heavy right hand by Thomas Tate. And a counterpunch by Jackson, yes. And that seemed to really wake Jackson up.
Jackson has demonstrated at very least a good chin, too, but he seems so determined and so anxious right now. I'm wondering if he's not taking himself out of his own game plan just a little bit.
These are real heavy punches by Jackson. And that one nearly had Tate in trouble, able to spin away.
Julian ran into one of his own just now, and I'll tell you, I'm getting to be a little bit more impressed with the resilience of Tate.
Because these are thunderous deliveries by Jackson.
Well, as I spoke about earlier, Tate is getting his pound of flesh and letting his presence be known.
And Thomas Tate with a good flurry. That gets a rise from the crowd. It was just 2 fights ago, Bobby, that Jackson knocked out Ismail Negron 50 seconds into the fight. The fastest knockout in middleweight championship history, but Thomas Tate, so far, is a different story.
Well, he's rising to the occasion. He knows what he has in front of him, and he's fighting that type of fight.
Don't hold him, don't hold him.
For the first time, you see Julian Jackson getting backed up.
And Jackson got hit with a left jab by Thomas Tate. And he is keeping him at bay with the jab. And a right by Thomas Tate that landed.
See, I think it's key there, too, when he gets backed up, that he tie Jackson up. Otherwise, he's going to be receiving all sorts of blows that won't be any good for him.
But you wonder, after seeing Jackson so many times, so effective with the knockout punch, if he's playing possum here and just looking to work on his boxing. But as you said, that could get him in some trouble too.
Keep him up, keep him up.
Well, fighters do that, but especially punching, you got to be careful.
During the 2 championship fights. Round 4 scheduled for 12. Excellent round for Thomas Tate. Really hearing it from the crowd, getting the encouragement from Alpine Bolden, who trained Ron Collins against Julian Jackson back on April the 10th in Mexico City, so he knows Jackson very well.
I think if you notice, Jackson's calmed down a little bit. He's not rushing, swinging wildly. He's sitting a little more, looking to time Tate a little. He's trying to draw him in still.
And there's that jab once again by Thomas Tate.
As I predicted earlier, this had the makings of the best fight of the night, and I think if it keeps up like this, it certainly will.
Back comes Julian Jackson right above us. Thomas Tate not intimidated at all by the championship atmosphere and the knockout artist Julian Jackson, who is a 2-time world champ, former WBA junior middleweight title holder.
I'm impressed with Thomas Tate's savvy. He's waiting. He's playing his game the way he wants to play it. He's not letting Julian take him out of his game plan, and he's got some real decent defense.
And a very decent resume as far as his amateur career. 220 wins, 18 losses over 11 years. He began his amateur career at the age of 11. Won a lot of championships.
He got hit with a good right hand that really got his attention prior to that flurry, and he's been moving right now strictly in the defensive mode.
In '86, Tate won the gold medal at the U.S. Olympic Festival. Was runner-up to Michael Moorer at the USA ABF Championships. In '88, he was the U.S. Olympic Trials Western champ and lost a close decision in the Olympic Trials Championship. Heavy right there by Tate.
Tate is showing me something here today. I haven't seen him in a fight like this, and obviously Julian Jackson, one of today's very best. This is, even in a loss here, this is going to do a lot for his career.
Tate is 24-1, 19 knockouts, had 22 consecutive wins, 18 by knockout before his first defeat suffered his first and only loss in his 23rd bout in December of '91, losing a 12-round decision to Percy Harris. Julian Jackson with a combination.
He stood and traded right there, punch for punch, hooks and right hands. Both of them got hit clean, but obviously Jackson's punches did more damage.
And the chase is on. Julian Jackson looking to blanket Thomas Tate. And Tate is in trouble. He goes down to one knee.
You notice he looked to his corner and said, "Don't worry, I'm all right." He went down to avoid getting hit with that big bomb.
Good move.
Hey, give me the glove.
As the bell sounds to end round 4. Tate shaking it off.
The original left hook really, really hurt him, and he saw himself that he was going to be in a little more trouble, and he just sat down to get the rest.
Oh, let's get busy now. Okay? You got to settle down a little bit. You got to settle down and get your jab reaching at him so you can stick that jab up a little bit. Okay? Get that right hand in there. You can hit this fucker with the right hand. You're doing great. Fine. That's all I'm doing. Okay?
There we see that sequence again. He's got his back to the corner in a dangerous position again. Jackson always with the left hook again to start it. Tate's hurt and he realizes he needs a rest. Just takes it to one knee to take the rest. He gets his 8 count and he looks clear-eyed to me. Another angle of the same thing. His back's getting toward the ropes. Boom, the left hook. His punches are so hard that you cannot let him hit. He can't hit you with anything early.
And round 5, it is scheduled for 12 for the WBC Middleweight Championship. The champion, Julian Jackson, in the white with the Virgin Islands motif. The challenger, Thomas Tate, in the red.
Well, Jackson seems to have gotten things back on track. I'm sure the knockdown was a big confidence builder, and he is stalking with a vengeance.
He had Thomas Tate down at the end of round 4. And once again, all over Tate.
He must be in incredible condition. It takes so much energy to throw punches that hard every single time.
Every punch has an evil intent. He looks like he's closing in for the kill.
It's almost like a Mike Tyson in the middleweight division. Scary.
He's getting hit too, but he's dishing out a lot more. Julian Jackson. And Tate once again staggers. Remember, this is Richard Steele, who's known for stopping these kinds of situations. Let's see how he reacts. He's watching Tate closely and telling Tate to fight back.
Tate's just trying like hell right now to just counter with the left hook. Oh, and he hurt Jackson with the left hook, but here comes Jackson back.
And Jackson is stunned. And Jackson with a left hook. Look at this exchange.
This is incredible.
Tate took Steele's advice and did fight back.
Jackson looking again, waiting to load up. Watch the hook.
There's another left hook by
dropped.
Tate. Is Jackson in trouble?
I think Jackson's a little tired now, too. All those big punches. Tate's throwing just a little quicker, a little more accurate.
Less than a minute to go in a furious 5th round. And both seem arm-weary.
Keep him up.
Thomas Tate landing. No holding, says Richard Steele to Tate.
After getting hurt early in the round, Tate has come back to win this round.
And this is a man who was on the deck at the end of round 4. Thomas Tate, what a comeback here in round 5.
Now you see Julian Jackson doing exactly what we had before. He's moving and Tate is the aggressor.
Thomas Tate showing he's got a chin too. And that is it for a great round. Round 6, scheduled for 12. A very confident challenger, Thomas Tate, is trying to do what most thought was the near impossible. Take the WBC middleweight title away from the two-time champion Julian Jackson. He comes off a tremendous 5th round.
Right now, Jackson is still on the retreat. I'm not sure if he's tired, if he's trying to lure him in again for one of those big bombs, but it's going to be an interesting fight right now because Tate seems to have a fire.
Oh, Tate landed with a right.
Tate is showing absolutely zero fear here, and I have to admire this man. He came here to do exactly what he said he was going to do.
Tate boring in again, going to the head and making contact.
As we talked about earlier, when the big punchers don't land those big punches or they use too much of them in a wild manner, they can run out of gas. That may be the case.
Prior to that miss, another right by Thomas Tate, and Tate again barreling in.
Both missed big right hands.
There's the explosive left hook by Julian Jackson, but defended well by Tate.
Right now, Jackson's looking to harness for 1 or 2 big ones at a time. And I'll tell you, Tate is just looking to work him, work him, work him, work him.
It has developed into a slugfest midway through the 6th. Looks like Tate is looking to measure Jackson out with the jab and finish it with the big right.
Without the jab, it would be a dangerous move for him, but as long as he uses that jab, it's going to be very effective.
Not landing in that flurry, Tate.
I have him winning this round, too.
The crowd reacting to everything that Tate is throwing.
Punch to get out there! Punch to get out!
As they root for the underdog.
Some of those body punches look like they bothered Tate a little bit. Again, Jackson, 1 or 2 really big ones. And when they get tired, all it takes is one of those shots and the fight's over.
Tate landing with combinations to the head. We have done several Jackson fights, and I've never seen this kind of reaction from Julian Jackson.
Well, his heart's going to get tested right now, and his determination, that's for sure.
The last time Jackson went 6 rounds, 1989.
Right, step back. Keep it in front. Keep it in front.
Chalk up another one.
Help! Take a deep breath.
Let's go over to Steve Farhood right now. Check in with his scorecard.
Steve, I have Julian Jackson still ahead, but Thomas Tate has clearly won the last 2 rounds, and he's got all the momentum now as we move forward.
All right, Steve, the big round for Jackson was round number 4. He had Tate down at the end of the round, so automatically scores a 10-8 round there. We head into round 7, scheduled for 12 for the WBC middleweight title, and it has turned out to be a good one. Thomas Tate is trying to pull off the unthinkable.
I think Tate's jab right now is going to be key for him, and Julian Jackson's going to have to unload a little bit to the body and slow Tate down because he has a little more gas right now. Punches always hurt more when you're tired, and both of these fighters right now are unloading with all they have.
Looks like a mouse developing under the right eye of Thomas Tate.
With as many punches as both these fighters have taken, I'm surprised they're not in a lot worse shape than they appear right now. A little bit of a resting round for both fighters. They've exerted an awful lot of energy, and right now they're sizing each other up a little bit and setting themselves up for later in the fight. Still a long way to go.
Thomas Tate took a huge jump in the rankings to get this fight, and looks now like he is deserving of that height in the rankings. He went from something like number 22 to number 10.
Well, he's certainly earning it tonight. He's earning every step he took up that ladder.
Some people thought it was a mysterious jump, but he did make the jump, however.
But boxing is mysterious in all aspects.
You can say that again. That
Big
right
right
hand missed, just missed, just grazed Thomas Tate's head.
Julian's still looking for that 1 or 2 big punches to get him in trouble. Then the adrenaline takes over, and all of a sudden, bada boom, there comes all punches that right now are dormant.
What was that? Bada boom?
That's usually how it sounds in Newark, where I train.
What do you think about the gas tank now for both Jackson and Tate, Bobby?
Well, it takes more energy to back up, and so I think Tate's exerting a little more right now. Their legs appear real good, but I'll tell you what, they have to be a little arm weary, especially Jackson, because of all the energy he uses in those shots.
He told us he trains to go 12 rounds, to go the distance, despite the fact that he has so many early knockouts. We may have to find out tonight.
Well, the canvas seems to be very hard, not bouncy, which would be conducive to a boxer as opposed to a puncher.
You heard the Team Tate corner. You got it where you want him in the later rounds. New kid on the block.
Julian Jackson's come out a little bit as a revived individual, a little more determination in his eyes, certainly a little more pop to the punches.
Julian Jackson hasn't gone the distance in over 10 years. That includes 1 knockout loss. And he does seem resurrected here in round 8.
There's a very big motivational speech and emotional speech in the corner of Julian Jackson, imploring him to go out there and work like they know he can.
Jackson 44-1, 42 knockouts. The only loss was to Mike McCallum for the WBA junior middleweight title in 1986.
See, Tate's speed now here is starting to take its toll. Big right hand.
Landing with that right is Jackson. He's got Tate on the run. There's that left by Jackson. And he is all over canvassing Tate.
One big punch he was looking for. He's got it. Now let's see what happens. Maybe he punches himself out again. Maybe he doesn't.
Try to just get Tate off balance, swarming.
Don't hold him, don't hold him.
Jackson looks extremely focused right here. He's right above us as we look right into his eyes.
And he'll hit you anywhere, on top of your head, under your jaw, around your ear, in your back, and his punches do damage.
He is destructive with just about every punch. And I think after the fight, Thomas Tate will tell you that. He is going to be one hurting man after this fight.
Well, as Tate's corner said, we got him in late rounds, this is where we want him. Obviously, they're going to have to take him just a little bit later.
Thomas Tate out of the Motor City of Detroit, 24-1, 19 knockouts. Tate again going to the jab, and things have settled down again. He has withstood another onslaught by Julian Jackson. Tate actually got the better of that exchange.
Again, it's the speed getting to Jackson when he gets caught. He winds up with a big shot, and again, he runs into another right hand. And another.
Big right by Tate. Tell you what, Bobby, Tate's not only showing he can punch, he can take a punch, and he's got excellent defense.
He can take a punch, his defense is good. He can give a few punches too. Now all of a sudden we have the tides turned again.
A flurry by Tate. Tate showing he is in excellent condition. We're into round 8. He has taken a lot of punishment.
The jab here has kept Julian Jackson at bay. What a round. This is a man-to-man fight.
Great one here at the Hilton Center, and the fans are. Round 9 scheduled for 12 for the WBC Middleweight Championship.
Jackson comes right out trying to establish his dominance again, but they both look a little fresher than I could possibly even expect them to after this type of pace. Not to mention the abuse they've taken.
And Bobby, water cascading from the boxing trunks of Thomas Tate.
Well, sometimes they take a little cold water and put it down there, and believe me, it wake you up a little bit. They may have put too much, though.
Like a river.
I always wondered what would happen if Jackson got taken into the rounds, late rounds, at that type of pace. So far, he stood up pretty well, but being the big puncher, he has to slow down in areas where Tate can just throw those little quick punches. It's just not Jackson's style, but right now, they both look to be in incredible condition.
This is uncharted territory as far as Julian Jackson is concerned. It will be most interesting to see how he reacts. And the Tate team feels that they have Jackson where they want him in the late rounds.
I spoke to Thomas Tate's trainer, and he said if it goes past 7 or 8 rounds, he said we're going to be in territory that we really feel comfortable.
Well, Thomas Tate certainly putting on an impressive performance here when it looked like he was down and out in the early going. He was knocked down late 4th round by the champion, Julian Jackson. Came back strong in the 5th round and has done well since.
Julian Jackson looks as if he's harnessing some energy of his own right here. He may be more tired than he's letting on, but again, Tate has used so much energy too that he can only chase him at so much and still have more.
He may have to reach deep down into the reserve for this one.
Julian's starting to box a little more. Punches have got a little bit of speed to him, and they're chanting for Tate. They want to see what he can do.
And it looks like a near capacity crowd. They seat 9,000 here, and it's a tremendous crowd. Of course, Julio Cesar Chavez with Frankie Mitchell up next.
Well, as I stated earlier and suspected, I thought this was going to be the fight of the night, and it's turning out to not let me down. Little cat and mouse going on here. They're both a little tired, both trying to set each other up and get that big one across again. Big punches by Jackson to the body just a few moments ago to Tate.
Less than 20 seconds to go in round 9. And this one is history. Will he become the new champ? We'll find out as we go into round 10.
They took off the last round a little bit, so I'm expecting a little more action now.
Low blow there by Julian Jackson, cautioned by Richard Steele. Good right by Jackson to the head of Tate.
It's been a pretty clean fight. Again, you saw Jackson took off the last round a little bit, pressed the action, but not too much, and now he comes out saved up with some big bombs.
Good left hand by Tate.
Tate has a great counter hook. He just feels the punches hit him and he unloads it. And he's on the mark most of the time.
And not many people, Bobby, have been able to withstand the punches of Julian Jackson over the years, and Thomas Tate showing everybody a lot.
Well, I noticed that the 3 knockdown rule wasn't in effect with Julian Jackson. If they go down more than twice and get up, I wouldn't believe it anyway.
Tate able to block that left hook by Julian Jackson.
I think Tate has certainly gained the respect of not only the boxing public, but the general public, and he will become more revered, if not feared, in the future.
I don't think there's any question about that. There's no question that he is respected by Julian Jackson right now. Midway round 10.
Except for possibly Mike Tyson, I don't think I've ever seen a man more intent on aggression and vicious attack than Julian Jackson.
And yet the complete antithesis outside the ring. Very soft-spoken and mellow.
Super nice guy.
Great.
Again, there's the key for Tate, to use that jab to keep Julian Jackson off balance. If he doesn't do that, he's going to start loading up again.
There's that left hook by Julian Jackson, and back comes Tate. But Jackson is scoring here in the 10th round.
There's no quitting Tate, and Julian Jackson is probably going to have his hands full for the rest of this fight.
And look out! Tate goes through the ropes.
It was ruled a slip, and it was. He hit the water in the corner and went right down through.
So it is not ruled as a knockdown, although in very animated fashion and dramatic fashion, something you don't see very often. Thomas Tate slipping and going through the ropes. So we're seeing a little bit of everything in this one. Oh, what a right hand by Tate! Comes back from outside the ring to unleash a big right.
And another one has really hit him in the temple, and that hurt.
And now he's trying to swarm all over Jackson. But Jackson comes right back.
There's no quitting either one of these men. I'll tell you, I can't tell you the amount of respect I've gained for both of them.
And for only the second time in his career, Julian Jackson will go to the 11th as Tate has a little trouble finding the corner. There's his brother, former IBF middleweight champ, Frank Tate. And boy, does he have to be proud of his kid brother.
Keep boxing right here. 6 moments. 6 minutes.
The advice for
one
Frank.
round, and it's actually 2.
Okay, now let's get busy. Keep your eyes open. Use the jab. Everything you lose off the jab, whistle that right in. Back him up. Get on over that.
Here we see him backing up Thomas Tate to the corner. He hits the water and his feet just separate. He slips and he just falls clean through the ropes. No punches involved, really. Just to show you he wasn't hurt, he unloads some right hands and actually get Julian Jackson in a little bit of trouble.
Tremendous recuperative powers by Thomas Tate.
Let's keep it clean. 6 minutes. Keep it clean. Keep it clean. 6 minutes. Keep it clean.
Round 11.
Let's keep it clean.
They touch gloves, showing tremendous respect. Usually you only do that in the last round. Boy, as we get showered with water.
If Frank Tate was yelling only one more round, maybe the fighters heard him and thought that he was correct.
Yeah, but there are 2 more, 11 and 12. Frank Tate yelling to his younger brother Thomas, keep boxing, keep boxing. And it looks like what Tate is doing.
Again, it's that jab, double jab that sets up that right hand. That's when he is the most effective. It keeps Julian Jackson with the jab in his face from hitting him.
Good follow-up right after the left jab by Thomas Tate.
And it was a nice counter by Jackson. He's starting to counter back as Tate was doing to him all night.
Man, the toughest fight for Julian Jackson in years. I really wonder if he even expected it. Tate, a huge underdog coming in. Although he did tell us at the weigh-in yesterday he expected a mind game.
Yeah, he did say he thought a little bit of a chess match would take place, but this has just been all fight.
He did say to us that Tate will try to move around a lot. But Thomas Tate impressing a lot of people with this performance tonight.
Well, as we talked about fighters getting their pound of flesh, Tate has certainly got his today as well.
Right hand by Tate.
Julian Jackson's showing me a pretty decent chin himself, because he's been hit with an awful lot of shots and very clean. I think right now it appears to me that Julian Jackson saved himself for a big finish and only really fighting with a nominal amount of aggression. I think in the next round, I think all hell's going to break loose.
Tough act to follow after what we've seen. You are going to have some sore, swollen faces after this one. A straight right by Julian Jackson, flush on the face of Tate.
3 or 4 fights like this could take 10 years off a career.
Unbelievable punishment that these guys are withstanding.
Come on, work it, get out of there. Work it, get out.
Julian's punches are just so heavy, you could probably hear him without a microphone.
You know, we've been talking about Julian Jackson going the distance for the first time in a long while. I can't remember the last time Richard Steele has gone the distance.
Yeah, there's been some controversy with him stopping fights a little too early, and certainly this will help him because he let it go and it turned out okay.
Brother Frank imploring Thomas Tate. Here comes Thomas. Here comes Julian as they touch gloves for round 12. What a tremendous fight this has been.
This may sound strange, but I'd rather be in Thomas Tate's shoes than Frank's. When I rooted for my brothers when I was younger, the stress is unbelievable.
Well, Bobby coming in, Thomas Tate a 12-to-1 underdog.
I reckon the odds makers will change things in the near future.
Yes. A little too late for this one, though.
Well, certainly he hasn't fought like a 12-to-1 underdog. He's fought almost as if the fight were...
Hold him, break, stop that. Keep it clean, guys.
Richard Steele continuing to tell the two fighters, keep it clean. The Tate corner says, continue to box, use the jab, stay busy.
Punch it out, keep him in front.
A couple of the rounds that were close, you can't tell where the judges are, but I'll tell you what, Tate's going to need some kind of finish here to bring it with any chance.
Jackson looking to end it with Thomas Tate staring to the ceiling. But Tate refuses to give in. Blood coming from the nose of Tate.
Both fighters are showing a lot of signs of defensive now.
Punch it out, break, step back. Let me go, don't hold him, don't hold him.
It is extremely hot. It's over 100 degrees outside. It's hot under the lights. The place is packed. A lot of body heat. You can't even conceive of how hot it is up in the ring right now.
Julian Jackson just turned his back and started to walk away, which I didn't understand. And I thought he might be in a little bit of trouble.
Jackson's in some trouble. He was staggered there.
His legs are not under him right. That was just for show.
That sure was. Trying to illustrate that he's all right. But usually it's just the opposite when they do that.
Don't hold him, don't break. Step back. Don't hold him.
1 minute to go in the fight for the WBC middleweight championship.
You hold him. Keep it clean, guys. Let's go.
Julian Jackson with all he could handle against Thomas Tate, who almost went through the ropes.
Tate ran into a big shot. He got a little too aggressive, a little too wild. Ran into a big shot. Bleeding heavily from the nose now, could be busted.
But what a smart fight being fought here by Tate against the champion Julian Jackson, no matter what happens. And look, Jackson is almost out on his feet.
Jackson right now is exhausted, and he's digging hard, too. He's looking for 1 or 2 shots just to keep Tate off.
He is totally fatigued. Can Tate take advantage with 15 seconds to go?
Well, I think he probably win in the last round, but the fight may just have been a little too far out of reach.
The problem is Tate's out of gas, too.
What a fight. Anyone that paid for this fight got the money for it.
And it ends in a flurry. Show of emotion by Thomas Tate, thanking the man upstairs. And Julian Jackson doing the same. What a fight. And Frank Tate raising his brother. The former IBF middleweight champ embracing his kid brother Thomas.
Yeah. That's right. Still a champ. We need it. That's right. We need that work. It's been a long time since we had to hear this decision. About 9 years. Great fight.
All right, we're set for the unofficial scorecard before we get the official results. So if we're set, let's check in with our Steve Farhood. Steve?
Steve, I have Julian Jackson winning this fight and retaining the title 115-112. I think that Tate might have taken that last round. I think he clearly took the last round. I don't think it was enough.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. That's the way Steve Farhood saw it ringside. We'll get the official word momentarily. Julian Jackson looking to retain his WBC middleweight title.
Yeah, he was good.
Let's flash back to the only knockdown of the fight. This was late round 4.
Again, there was a left hook. He's pushing him back. He hits him with it. Didn't see it probably come around the gloves. Tate's in trouble, but clear-headed enough to just go down and rest.
And
he turns and says, I'm all right.
But then in round 5, Bobby.
Well, again, here's his counter left hook. He keeps countering every time Julian Jackson throws counters the hook, follows it up with some right hands. And let's face it, I mean, he threw a lot of punches. Julian Jackson absorbed quite a bit himself.
What a comeback by Tate after being decked in the 4th round.
Great fight. Great fight.
Well, we're just about set now for our official announcement. Let's go up to our ring announcer, Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds of boxing, we have a unanimous decision, and now we'll read the score total. Judge at ringside, Dave Brown scores about 117-111. Judges at ringside, Chuck Jompa and Horacio Castilla, both agree scoring about 116-111. All three in favor of the winner, and still champion Julian, the Hawk Jackson.
You hear the mixed reaction from the crowd as Julian Jackson retains his WBC middleweight title.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a hand for a fine effort here tonight, the challenger, Thomas Ice-T Tate.
And yes, Thomas Tate deserves the applause from the crowd here at the Las Vegas Hilton. Just an outstanding action-packed 12-round championship fight. Great job by Thomas Tate. Just an outstanding action-packed 12-round championship fight. Great job by Thomas Tate. We'll be back for interviews with Steve Farhood in the ring. But coming up, we've got the WBC Super Lightweight Championship. The incomparable Julio Cesar Chavez getting ready in his dressing room, looking to keep his undefeated record intact against NABF Lightweight Champion Frankie Mitchell. And here at the Las Vegas Hilton, we are set once again for post-fight interviews. Let's throw to Steve Farhood in the ring. Steve?
All right, Steve, here with the still champion Julian Jackson. And Julian, that had to be, Mike McCallum aside, the toughest fight of your career.
Hey, it was a tough fight, man. I must tip my hat to Thomas Tate. He came out to box me. They worked on their plan, and it worked beautiful. I boxed much more than a lot of people expected, and I would grade myself. I would give myself at least a 7.
All right, now, 2 quick questions that are obvious. One is, how did he take your punches? And 2 is, how did you take his punches?
Well, he took my punches very well. He went down, I took his punches. I got stunned. I must say he punched pretty well. There's no doubt about it. I could take a punch. Prove a lot of people tonight. Julian Jackson has what it takes to be a champion.
Julian, do you remember the last time you were backed up in a fight? There were rounds there where he backed you up.
Oh, definitely, man. You know, I'm not saying that I'm Iron Man. I'm made of steel. You know, I had to do what I had to do to get away from the punches, and I did them. You know, split instinct.
All right, Julian, tremendous effort. Let's get in Thomas Tate also right here.
Before I go, I'd like to say hi to my family in New York, Claudette, John, my father, and the people in the Virgin Islands. I love you all, and God bless each and every one, and stay faithful to Jesus.
Okay, stay here, Julian, while we talk to Thomas Tate. Tremendous effort. You took the punches of the best puncher in boxing. Do you feel you won the fight?
Yeah, I feel I won it. But Julian, good fighter. He took everything I had, and I just kept on going. But
you do think you won the fight, though?
Yeah, I thought I won the fight. But both of us as men feel as though he won, and I feel as though I won. But I know clearly that I won. You know, he shot big shots, but majority of the shots I took. The round that I went down, I didn't want him to shoot heavy shots to get knocked out. A lot of guys stand up and just take his punches, but I just did the smart thing, just kneel to one knee and just collect myself and then go back and let him throw wild shots and just try to counter on some shots. I had him hurt a couple of times.
Thomas, you took his punches, you came back, and you got momentum of the fight. Then in round 7, you started moving. You took a little rest. I thought it was a turning point in the fight. What do you think?
No, I don't think so. What had happened is I just tried to collect myself and try to not really get in exchanges with him. And just like I said, collect myself and get back to round 8. I know I have 5 more rounds to go. So, you know, I just try to conserve myself. But then again, just let him go and just throw wild bombs and stuff. And, you know, just counter him. And I did. But like I said, Julian been around a long time, man. My time will come. I'm not worried about it.
All right, your time will.
Don King, I know I'll be right back. So I'm gonna be champion. I'm not gonna even worry about it.
Thomas,
Julian had his chance. You know, every king beat the throne. So
what do you think is next for you? What is next?
I ain't for sure right now. I'm just gonna go back and collect myself and see what Don's up to and see what's on the bargaining table. So I ain't really worried about it. Just I'm all right. Don know I'm all right. Julian know I'm all right. He know where
maybe you'll get Julian again. Julian, same question for you. You've been looking for big fights. This guy gave you a great fight. What's next for Julian Jackson?
Hey, definitely, there's no doubt about it. I want the fighters out there, Tony, McCallum, Terry Norris, you all been running from me. Now you might get a chance and fight me. Since you think I had a blockbuster tonight, I want you all to come out and fight me. Give me the opportunity.
All right, Julian Jackson. Thank you very much.
I must say to Mike Tyson, we're looking forward to seeing you again, and may God be with you.
Okay, Julian Jackson, Thomas Tate, tremendous fight. Back to Steve Albert at ringside.
Thank you, Steve. Julian Jackson watched the big money fight. And on the other side of the ledger, despite the loss, Thomas Ice T. Tate, well, his stock unquestionably goes up after this performance against the WBC middleweight champ. So the crowd here at the Hilton Center in Las Vegas settling in for the finale of our boxing triple header as the legendary Julio Cesar Chavez looks to extend the longest streak of victories at the start of a career by any boxer in history. Since 1980, when he turned pro, Julio Cesar Chavez has never tasted defeat.